Hello, everyone, and let's just wait for people to start joining in. Yeah, so, all right. Yeah, so as people start joining in, we'll quickly start. And till then, let's just wait for a few more minutes and then we'll get started. If you guys are here, feel free to leave any comments. Let me know where are you guys from and how's your day going so far. Yeah. Hi, Pavan. Hi. Yes. So everything looks good. Okay, so people are joining in from Hyderabad. I myself am doing this live from Delhi. We have Pavan from Chhattisgarh. Anurag says hi. Hi Teja. Chandigarh. Uh, yeah, Pune. Varanasi. Wow. Okay, so everyone has started to join now. Pretty cool. All right. So I think we can get started with the live now. There are a lot of people that have joined. Um, yeah, it's nice to have all of you here. All right, I see some familiar faces as well. Okay. So, hello everyone. I am Avi Vashish from AccioJob, and today we'll be building a Twitter clone using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And a little about AccioJob. So, we at AccioJob believe in helping people who want to grow and learn about tech so that they can finally get placed in tech. So, it doesn't matter what your age is, what your background is, anyone and everyone is welcomed to learn about tech, grow, and finally get placed and switch their careers. And we believe in helping a lot of people. If you want to know more about AccioJob, you can visit our website at acciojob.com and you can apply, you can log in, and basically you can go through our testimonials, you can go through the courses that we offer, and you can look at all the startups where we have our students getting hired to. And yeah, so feel free to go through this website, and I think without any further ado, we can get started. So let me know if everything is working perfectly, and I'll quickly get started with the Twitter clone that we'll be building. Correct? Yeah. So yeah, okay. So first things first, how many of you guys know about Twitter? I guess everyone should be knowing about Twitter, right? It recently got bought by Elon Musk, and that's all over the news these days. Uh, So yeah, how's how many of you guys actually use Twitter on a regular basis? I want to know that first before actually, diving in and starting to build that. Hmm. Someone says not me. It's okay. I don't personally use Twitter a lot too, but I have used it, and a lot of my colleagues and friends use it on a regular basis. So yeah, so people who do use it daily. There's only two types of people who use Twitter. Either they use it daily or they don't. The clone that we will be making is obviously going to be responsive, and it has a few features that Twitter has as well. And okay, so I think everyone's excited to see what we'll be building. So let me just actually go to twitter.com, and this is how the landing page of Twitter looks, right? We have a left sidebar, we have a right sidebar, there are a few links, there's this sign up pop-up that is there at the bottom, and then there is this div. There's a search bar and there's a settings page. If you click on settings, it opens a modal, right? Which is again a login modal. And other than that, we have these five tabs. So there's a for you, trending, news, right? Sports and entertainment. So these are the five tabs. And if we scroll, only the middle section scrolls and nothing else really scrolls, right? So on the left side and the right side, we have two static divs, or you can call it sidebars. At the bottom, we have a fixed div, right? And yeah, so we have a scrollable section in the middle. And as something that you should notice is, notice how the background is not fully black, it gets blurred. So this is also something that we'll be doing. So now I'll be showing you what I have made so far, and this is how that looks. And it is pretty similar. It is not pixel perfect, but I believe this is a better design because I have positioned stuff better. But yeah, right. And this is how our clone will look like after the end of this session. Okay. Give me a second. Let me just share my screen then. So, yeah. All right. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Is my screen visible now? Okay. So my screen should be visible now. I am so sorry for that. But anyway, yeah. So coming back, so let me just quickly revamp. If you want to visit our website, this is AccioJob's website, and yeah, like I explained, you can see all the testimonials, all the services that we offer, and all of the companies that our students get hired from, right? Anyway, and now I'll quickly move to the Twitter clone that we'll be building. So, yeah, this is what Twitter looks like right now. If you just quickly go to twitter.com, right? So if I just type twitter.com, this is what opens up, and this is what I see. So this is what I was explaining as well. There is a left bar, there is a right bar, and then there's the static bar at the bottom, which is just a sign up bar, and we have a middle area which is scrollable, right? And yeah, okay. So right, I was just going through the comments. Yeah, okay. So this is how Twitter looks currently speaking. And something that I was telling was look at this these tabs. So the background is not fully black, it is blurred. So every image that goes behind it or every text that goes behind it just gets blurred. So this is what we'll be building, and showing you what I have currently coded is this, right? Let me just switch tabs. So this is how the Twitter clone that we will be building is going to look like. Everything is pretty much same. I have tried to keep all the icons and everything as similar as possible. There is a left bar, there's a right bar, we have a middle section, which is also just scrollable. And if we scroll, you notice how the images and the text actually gets blurred as well, right? So I don't know if you can see this, but yeah. So we will be taking care of all of these little tiny details, and we will be building a lot of components, right? And yeah, so this is what we will be building. It is fully responsive. So if I want to show you how it looks, if I go to my mobile and I make it iPhone XR, this is how it's going to look at in your mobile phones, right? Um, Fully responsive. The tabs is responsive. I have left these two tabs for your implementation, and we will just be building three tabs. And I would like to see what you guys do with these last two tabs, right? We have a sidebar like this. If I convert my phone to an iPad, this is how it's going to look. Our website is going to look at a tablet in the tablet view. I can rotate the orientation. This is how it looks. So the sign up pop up is going to be there till the end, and only when it is, I think, below a specific screen width, we are getting rid of it. Right. So as you can see, it's pretty well and nicely responsive as well, and it is actually more responsive than Twitter itself. By the way, Twitter did not actually take this much pain into making it. It is fully responsive, right? It somewhere breaks, and yeah. So I've made sure that this component is full width in this view. Our sidebar does not need to take this much space since it's just icons, right? So if I show, this is how our website looks in this particular view, and this is how Twitter looks. And I believe this is much better since the sidebar is just taking the specific amount of space that it should, and everything else is full width. So we're utilizing the entire screen at all times, right? Again, in the mobile view, this is how Twitter looks. As you can see, there are things cutting, and they have made this overflow X, right? And yeah, something that I just noticed was this bar looks like this in mobile view, and ours looks like this. So we might change this too. We'll make it pixel perfect. We'll try to in the most parts. And yeah, so this is what we'll be building. Let's see. Someone said Elon Musk wants to know my location. I wish. I really wish. Anyway, Yeah, so if you guys are excited to build this, let's get started, right? Um, yeah, perfect. Super happy to see that everyone's really excited. And yeah, okay, so if you go to the YouTube live and if you go at the description, you'll see that I've added a drive link, right? And that drive link is nothing but it is all the starter files that you'll be needing to, get started with this project. It basically consists of all of the icons, all of this white logo, this blue logo as the fav icon, right? All of the Google icons, the Apple logo, then this hashtag SVGs, all of the SVGs, all of these images that we're using. So there's this pollution image, there's this AccioJob background as well. There is going to be this news image as well. So basically, I wanted it to be as simple as you guys, for you guys, right? I don't want you guys to Google around and look for assets here and there. I've tried my best to get the best assets that I can. We are also using the same font that Twitter uses. So if you guys did not know, Twitter recently launched their own font. It's called Twitter Chirp. So if I Google Twitter Chirp font, this is the font that we will be using. It's Twitter's very own font, and it's exactly the same, right? And the goal was to build a pixel perfect looking website, and with a slight, like I said, with slight modifications that make it look slightly better than Twitter, in my personal opinion. Because again, we are using the entire real estate of the screen and we are not wasting any space. uh no, it does not. The drive link does not cost $8, and it is in the description, but I'll share it with you guys as well in the chats. Give me a second. Yeah, give me a second, I'll just share it in the chats. It's asking me to sign in first. Let me just quickly do that. Yeah, all right. Okay, I'm just pasting it in the chats for those of you who cannot find it. And yeah, so I've sent the drive link in the chats as well. And let me know if you guys can open it and see it. You should be able to open it and see it as well, right? Okay, all right. So, yeah, just quickly let me know if the drive link is opening for you all. You don't need to worry about what all is in there right now. We'll get started with that as well soon. Just quickly let me know in the chats if it is opening and you guys can download it. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So, thank you so much, Akansha, for letting us know that you can download it. All right. So, for those of you who are wondering what we'll be doing, so this is the flow that I've decided for our entire YouTube live stream. It's going to technically go till 6 p.m. and maybe it can go for a little longer, or maybe it can go for a little shorter. Depends on our speed and the speed that we decide to code at. I will be thoroughly explaining all of the code that I write. It is very simple, very basic HTML CSS code. Uh, Lakshmi, the link is in the chats and in the description as well. Right. So, okay. So I've already gone through the introduction. So this part is done. Let me just quickly change this to a to-do list because that's better. So we've gone through the introduction. I've showed you what we'll be building and how we'll be building it, right? I've sent you the initial setup link and I'll quickly just start and I'll be setting this up with you guys as of right now. Right, I've sent the link again, but okay. So, all right. So let's get started with the initial setup. I'll get rid of this. I'll minimize the screen as well. So this is the zip file that you should be having, right? Um, if you unzip this, what you'll notice is that we have, I think, three files. There's an assets folder, there's an index.html, and there's a styles.css. And this is all the initial setup that we need. I will not be overcomplicating things. I will not be making multiple pages. It's just going to be a single page, nice, quick Twitter clone, right? And yeah, So let's just open this in our VS Code. I'll just open my terminal. I'll say desktop. I'm going to say cd Twitter clone, right? And I'm just going to say code dot. And this should open our VS Code, and it does. All right, perfect. So now just to go through of what we have currently and everything, right? Okay. So this is our index.html. Again, it is a very basic index.html. There's not much happening here. There is just the head tags and an empty body, right? We have yeah, we have our meta tags UTF-8. Obviously, that's important. We have our fav icon. So if you want to see, it's in our assets folder. This is how our fav icon looks like. It's a Twitter icon, Twitter logo, right? And so I've gone ahead with the pain of already setting up these basic things for you guys. I've given this a description as well. So obviously we'll be making a Twitter clone in 2022 using HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript. And yeah, I have linked the style sheet as well. So now if we go into our styles.css file, what do we see is I have gone ahead and made these root variables. I've imported the font style, right? We'll be using chirp. Like I said, it is the font that Twitter uses. And yeah, this is the basic what do you say, body styling that we'll be using, and these are the root variables. And you don't need to worry about the exact hex codes, because I have, like I said, gone with the pain of actually color picking these exact values, and they are correct down to the very, every hex code basically. So there's this app that I like to use called Color Slurp, and it basically allows you to pick any color that you want to. So as you can see, our background is all black. Our text is mostly all white. Sometimes it's this E7, E9, EA color, but other than that, it's sometimes white. And a little about UI UX, if you want to know that. Yeah, ideally speaking, you're not supposed to use all black and all white. So I've tried to use the lighter shade as well in some places, because it's better for the user's eyes, right? It's not supposed to be this contrasting. But yeah, we are also using the exact Twitter blue, because this is a blue which is obviously it's Twitter blue. It's literally called Twitter blue. If you Google this hex code, it's going to come up as Twitter blue, right? So we are using the same colors, the same variables, and I've tried to keep the media queries the same as well, like the breaking points. But yeah, so that is that. This is the assets, this is the index.html, and this is the styles.css. So if everyone has started, if everyone has unzipped this file, and if everyone has this, we can get started with our coding part, right? Will you be having blue or gray ticks? We haven't made the ticks component, because if I go to my twitter.com, as you can see, by default it just shows the hashtags and just shows the content that Twitter wants you to see, right? If you want, we'll make this component, and I will get this SVG as well, and I'll push it in a GitHub code. So after this video ends, I will be pushing all the code to GitHub, so that you can also refer to the source code whenever you want to, right? And but as of right now, there's no tick components, there's nothing like that. I haven't made specific tweet components. I have just made the news components, the basic trending component, and everything else. Like I said, I have in fact left the sports and the entertainment part for you guys to do, because I don't want to spoon feed you to making the entire project, right? So what's the point of teaching if you guys will just copy? You should be able to implement it as well. All right, so let's get started. I will get rid of this, and we will be coding while referring to the Twitter, original Twitter, and not my clone, so that we can again build it to pixel perfect perfection. I'll just go to my desktop and open my index.html over here. So as of right now, this is what we have on our screens, right? It is nothing but it is a simple black screen, obviously, because our entire, what do you say, our entire body is empty, right? So okay, the first things first, we will be building this left sidebar. So what do you see of this left sidebar is that it occupies around 30% of the screen. It does not occupy a full 100%, but or a 50%. It's less than 50%, but it's more than just 20% of the screen, right? So what I found out was that 30% sounds the best, So this left sidebar is going to occupy 30% of our screen. It is static because obviously it stays there. It does not scroll, and it is a very simple component. It just has three things. It has a Twitter icon, an explore icon, a settings icon, like a settings link. And when we talk about making this responsive, it after a certain limit, it just becomes a very small, what do you say, just a tiny sidebar. It's a very basic sidebar, right? So let's go ahead and get started by building this first. Yes, this workshop will be available on YouTube even after the live, and some people are having problem extracting the zip file. Sometimes let's just load it, let it load, and after that you'll see a icon on the top right to download it, and you should be able to download it, right? All right. So yeah, let's get started. This is how our YouTube, I mean our current Twitter clone looks like. First things first, we will be commenting our code so that it's organized, right? I'll be naming this left sidebar, and this is just a comment so that we know um, how everything is organized and everything, right? So we'll have a left sidebar, we'll have a middle bar and middle section actually, and after that we'll have a right sidebar. And apart from the right sidebar, we're also going to make that bottom div, this sign up div, right? So we're going to have that as well, and we'll make that towards the end. So bottom sign up div. Just a tip for you all as well. Please keep commenting your code and please keep commenting your styles.css as well. So that later on it's not a hassle for you and it's easier for you to also go around and scroll through the entire code. Okay. So to build the side um, left bar, what we'll be doing is I'll be making a div, right? I'll name this class. I'll have a class for this, and I'll call this left sidebar itself. And now what we want to do is I want to have, yeah. Now what we want to do is okay. So we will be having a flex of the links, right? So I'll have a flex. I'll call it links dash flex, and I will have okay. So what we're basically building is this, correct? So our left bar is going to be left sidebar is going to be this div. Inside that div, we have a flex of column, and technically we don't need to have a flex or column. It's still going to work, but I do want to centrally align these in the end. So using a flex box is always going to be helpful, and it's never going to be a pain for you, right? Then we are going to have this icon. So this is an image that we can import from our assets, right? So let's go ahead and do that as well. So I'm going to say div class um, white dash logo, right? And I will close that div. I will also have an anchor tag because we want to make this clickable, obviously. And yeah, inside here, I'm going to have my image, our basically our Twitter logo, right? And that's going to be assets slash there's this white Twitter white PNG. Yeah, so we'll be using this since it's the white logo, right? And all right, I will name this as well. I'll call this class as Twitter dash white dash logo, and I'll have an alt for this as well, and Twitter logo, right? Or Twitter white logo, doesn't really matter. Yeah, so for those of you who do not know what alt is the alternative text that we give to our images just in case they do not load, right? And yeah, let's just see without styling what does our current website look like. So I'll refresh, and as you can see, we've imported our white logo, and let's just go ahead and style our left sidebar now. So I'll be going to styles.css. I'm going to write a comment here. I'm going to say left sidebar, and yeah, let's just go ahead and style this. So like I explained before as well, we're going to give this a width of 30 view width. right? I'm going to give this a border right of 1.5 pixels solid, and then we are, I think, light gray is the variable that we want to use for our borders. Let me just quickly check. Okay, so it's actually background gray that we'll be using, because this gray is a background that we'll be using in another div, right? Okay, so I've given it a width of 30 view width. I've given it a bright border. I want to give it a height of 100 view height, right? So that it's full screen, and I want to give this a position of sticky, right? So that it sticks to the screen. And apart from that, I will also go ahead and kind of stick this entire nav bar to the left of our screen and top as well, so that it's top left and it's 30 view width from there and it's 100 view height, right? And yeah, let's see how this looks currently. Okay, so we see this line, our image is still not styled. We'll quickly style this as well. Now, one thing that I want to do is I'll make our display flex. I will have justify content flex end and align items as flex start. So the reason for that is I basically want to have our items to the end. So that's why justify content is flex end, right? And it's align items is flex start, so that they are always to the top. And yeah, so as you can see, the difference was this shifted to the right now, right? Because even in our Twitter, this is all to the right with a little padding on the left. But yeah, you get the point. Now what we'll be doing is I will be styling our links flex and our even our icon, I think. Let me just quickly go through the YouTube live chats to see. Uh, okay, can I report and block people? Yeah. All right. Anyway, so all right. So it looks like everything is fine and we can continue, right? Um, yeah. All right. Continuing. So now what we want to do is this will be a links flex, right? So let's just go ahead and style that too. So we'll be copying our links flex and I'll explain the code in a little while, right? And over here, what we have is we are going to say display flex, and I'm going to say gap of 1 rem. I want to have a line item center as well and margin top as well. All right. Yeah. And all right, we're going to make our cursor as pointer as well. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Okay, so now we can go ahead and style our white logo. So first things first, I'm going to make the white Twitter white logo, and I'm going to style my image. I'm going to say I'm going to give this a height of 2 rem, I think, width of 2 rem, and let's see how that looks. Right. So now this is shorter. As you can see, this works. I'll give my links flex a margin of 1 rem. So there's a margin of 1 rem over here. And as you can see, this is pretty nicely styled already, right? I am going to, okay. So now what we want to do is on hovering of this, I want to basically have a light background, right? So if I go ahead and look over here, what you'll notice is on hovering, there's this light blue background that comes up, right? So we'll be doing that as well. And that is the reason why we have a div. So now over here, I'm going to say the white logo. Um, on hover, what I'll do is I'll give it a background color of, I think we are, let's do background gray and see how that looks. right? So if I hover over it, you can see I have this white background already. And now what I want to do is I'm going to give dot white logo a specific padding. Let's say 1 rem for now. Let's see how that looks. And yeah, 1 rem looks fine. I'm going to give it a border radius of 50% so that it's a circle. And thus when I hover on it, it basically looks like this, which is completely fine, right? So we already have our Twitter bird here, and now let's build our explore and settings tab as well. Okay, and something that I want to do is I will give this a width of let's say, let me give this a width of 16 rem to see if that pushes it away a little bit. And yeah, this is fine, right? So since this has a width of 16 rem, it's over there, it's slightly, there's a gap, right? Let's see, why are you using Drive and not GitHub? I will be pushing the code on the Drive as well. I mean on GitHub as well. The Drive was just for you to just quickly download the zip file and get started, because it's just easier that way. I didn't want you guys to, kind of make a new, like, clone a repo and then do it that way. That was also fine. But yeah, like I think Peacemaker said, everyone is not familiar with Git, and hence we are using that. Right. Thank you, Watson. I hope you also have a good day ahead. And anyway, let's just continue. All right. So this is what we have currently. Now we'll quickly make our explore and our settings as well. So as you can see, explore is nothing but it is a flex and it has an icon and a text. So we'll quickly go ahead and yeah, inside a links flex over here, I'm going to have another div, and over here I'm going to say link flex, and I'm going to have the icon, so image src, and apart from the icon I'm going to have our text, right? Which is going to be explore by default. And over here I'm going to say assets slash the explore icon is a hashtag, so we will be using this hashtag.svg, and I'll have a class name for this. I'll say link icons or link icon. Right, I'll have a class name for our p tag as well. I'm going to say link text, and okay. So let's go to our link flex. Over here, I'm going to have a display of flex, justify content of flex start. Right, I'm going to have an align item center. I'm going to say gap of 2 rem. I think that should be good. And let's see if that works. So if I now go and refresh my Twitter clone, I should see this, right? And something that I think we shouldn't have done is, I think we made an extra div over there. Give me a second. Yeah, right. This is how it looks like. I'll make this flex start. Yeah, so this is how it currently looks like. We'll style this accordingly as well. And currently what is happening is there is a padding given over here. And yeah, all right, let's just style our assets, right? Yeah, so it is because of this padding that our icons do not look aligned, but without the padding we won't be able to kind of have this particular feature. So we'll make sure that we give our icons a padding of 1 rem as well, and so, or a margin of 1 rem, whatever, just to make them aligned accordingly. And yeah, or I can just give my link flex a margin of 100 or a margin left of 100. Let's see. Whatever we feel will do justice, right? So this, if I refresh now, as you can see, this is now aligned technically. And one more thing that we'll do is, I don't really want to give this much of a gap to the link flex, and let's see as to why that gap is there, right? I think it is probably because of this. I'll get rid of this gap in our link flex. All right, now what we want to do is, I will style my link icon. If I am correct, that is called the link icon. And what we'll be doing is, yeah, it's called link icon. So I'll give this a width of 1 rem. I'll give this a height of 1 rem as well. And let's see how that looks, right? Or maybe 2 rem. Let's see, whatever works. Please share the cheat sheet. What do you mean by the cheat sheet? Yeah, so this is better. This is almost as the same size. What we'll also be doing is, I will be changing the link text, and I'll be making this font size, I think 1 rem would be good. I will be giving this a font weight of 600, so that it's a little bolder. And then let's see what we have. 1 rem is still small. I'll make this 1.2 rem, and 1.2 rem is slightly better, but it should be a little more. I'll probably make this as 1.8 rem and 1.8 rem, just to style things better. Yeah, so this is a much better styling to have, I believe. And yeah, so we have our explore component, explore tag basically. I'll quickly just copy this code and have this as well. And over here now it will say settings. Instead of assets being hashtag, I'll say setting.svg. And if I refresh now, I should have that as well. Perfect. After this, I will share the link of the project. I have already hosted it on GitHub. So if you want the link, I can give it to you right now. But the repo is currently not public. So I'll make it public eventually. Right. And yeah, all right. So this is what we have currently, and now what we need to do is this: we will be styling this and giving it the hover animation that Twitter has, and let's just see what's happening. I think we can get rid of this margin, and we can just give it a margin left, no margin top needed, right? So I'll get rid of this, and we have only a margin top, and this is much better. Now what we'll be doing is, I'll be giving a hover animation to our link flex. I'll be saying link flex hover, and over here I'll be giving it a background color of clear background color, and a border radius of 2 rem, which should be good. Let's see. So now this is how it looks like. And something that we'll have to do is, I'll have to give it a padding left and a padding right as well. So let me just give it a padding right now. I'm going to give it a padding 0 for the top, 1 rem on the right, I mean left, and padding right. I think I can make it 2 rem. Yeah, so this is clearly much better. And as you can see, our thing is already pretty styled. I might reduce the margin over here. So let me reduce the margin to 0.5 rem and 1 rem. Hmm, that doesn't look that nice. I think 1 rem is fine. Yeah, so I think this looks a little cleaner than before, and we can now move forward. Right, so our left bar is, I think, done. That is about it. right? It's just these three things, and now we can move forward. Okay, so is still here, is the left sidebar clear? Any doubts in the left sidebar? Initially the styling must feel a little excessive, but I think you can style this in a much cleaner way if you want to. There's no need for that links flex that we have, but the only need for that was to kind of separate it a little bit from the right side, and just to give it that look, right? Because otherwise, yeah, we would have to give it this look. Anyway, so one more div was needed anyways. Any doubts in this, in the left sidebar? Let me know. If not, we will move ahead. Let's try to make this session interactive, everyone. So, yes, I cannot see any people interacting in the chat. Let's make this interactive. Please let me know. Right? Otherwise, it's going to be a very boring 3 4 hours. Yeah. Hi. 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 Any doubts? All right. I think we can move ahead. Correct. It was a pretty simple component to make. All right. So now what we're going to do is we are going to make our right sidebar, and that is nothing but it is again a static component, and it has this div which is our sign up div, and then it has these links at the bottom, and that is about it. Correct. So yeah, I think we are pretty sorted on the time as well. Okay, good, good. So now the chats are coming in. Perfect. Let's build our right sidebar. So we'll go to our right sidebar comment and we'll add our div there. I'm going to name this as class and right sidebar. Okay, and this will have the sign up pop up first. Sign up dash container. Right, I think those are the two things that we need currently. So right sidebar, the sign up div, and we'll have these links as well. So these links are something that I did not code in my original Twitter clone, but this time we'll do that as well. Right. Okay. So what is the code for the right sidebar going to look like? It is basically going to look exactly the same, right? It is going to look exactly the same. So in the left sidebar, we had all of this styling. So I'll basically honestly just copy all of this and paste it here because it's going to be the same. The only difference is it'll be to the right this time. Width is again going to be 30%, height is 100%, position will be sticky. And instead of saying border right, I'll be giving it a border left this time. And there's no need for display flex or anything like that. We can get rid of that. Yeah, so now if I refresh my Twitter clone, I should be able to see this part of the thing. Okay, for some reason we do not, but let's see as to why that is happening. If I say hi, do we see hi? Okay, so currently it is not being shifted to the right. Let's see as to why. I believe it's because of position sticky. Let's make it fixed for now. It's going to be to the right. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so we have the starting bit of our right sidebar. Now I'll just quickly go and remove the hi. I'm going to start coding a sign up container. As you can see, the sign up container does not have much. It has a new to Twitter heading. Then it has sign up now to get your own personal timeline, right? So I will go ahead. I'll say H3, I believe, and over here I'm going to say new to Twitter. Then I'm going to have a p tag, and that p tag is going to say, whatever this was saying, sign up now to get your Yeah, personalized timeline. Right. And I believe something that I should do is there you go. Sakshi has sent the link again. For some reason, it is working for some of you. It is not working for other people. That should not be happening. But okay, let's go to our Twitter clone and see what we have. This is what we have, which is perfectly fine. We'll go style our sign up container now. I am going to say display block. That is not needed, but I'll let you know if it is needed in the future. Anyway, I'm going to give it a padding of I think 1 rem should be good for now, and 1 rem overall because it's going to look like a box. The border will obviously be 1.5 pixels solid via this, and apart from that, I think let's make the width as 100% and give it a margin of 1 rem. Let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks fine. 100% will not do. Let's make it 80%. I'm going to make it margin 1 rem and auto. Yeah, and this aligns it. Now, something that I did notice was sign up container dash h3. I'm going to remove the margin in this so that it's aligned perfectly, and I'm going to say the same thing for the p tag. The only difference is I will make the color of this as bar gray or light gray. Let's see. It should be light gray ideally. Yeah, light dash gray. Right. So we have the beginnings of this card, and something that you notice right off the bat is this p tag is much smaller than what we currently have. So I'm going to reduce the size to 0.8 rem, uh, and h3 is fine, but let's see if we make the size 1 rem. How does that look? Yeah, so S3's original size was fine, and this looks much better now. And something else, yeah, this looks fine. I will also give this a border radius of 1 rem. Let's see how that looks. Right. Let me know if you guys feel any lag when I switch from things. Okay. Yeah. All right. So no comments. Now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and make these three buttons. So the sign up with Google, sign up with Apple, sign up with email or phone, and then we'll be working on this text. Pretty simple. These are nothing but these are simple flex boxes again. So I'll just say sign up dash buttons, right? And over here, I'm going to, so this is going to be a flex, which is going to have an image. PSRC is going to be assets slash Google, I think. The class name is going to be sign up button dash icon. Right, we're going to have our text, and the text will basically say this is just the drive link. Yeah, this is just the drive link. Um, I will send the link of the repo after the session. I'm not leaking it before the session because I don't want you guys to just git clone everything and just leave the live session. So the GitHub link will be towards the end of the session. I will make sure to add it in the GitHub rep. Right, and it's almost about to be an hour of us coding, so that's pretty good as well. All right, so let me go to my sign up button and give it a display flex and a background of white. So I'll go sign up button. I'll say display flex, justify content flex center. This time the justify content will be center. line items will also be centered, right? And the width will by default it should be 100%. Let's just give it 100%, and margin will be 0.5 rem and 1 rem, and padding let's give it 0.5 rem and 1 rem as well. I'll give it a gap of 0.5 rem too. Right, and so for those of you who do not know what rem is, because something that you must have noticed is I only use rem, I do not use pixels unless it's for, I think it's only in the borders that I'm using pixels. I can change that to 0.1 rem as well. But yeah, the reason why I'm using rem is because rem stands for relative em, and it is much better than pixels because it kind of changes from display to display. So if you have a really good display with a lot of pixels, it's going to look better. And I think yeah, and 1 rem stands for 16 pixels. So 1 rem is equal to 16 pixels. So zero point 0.1 rem should be 1.6 pixels. So I can technically change this to make it 0.1 rem. Let's see if our theory is correct. And now if I refresh, everything should look the same. Yeah. As you can see, the Google icon looks really, really big. Let's style that as well. I'm going to give this a background color of VAR white, and now sign up button dash icon. Width will be width will be 1 rem, height will be 1 rem as well. Let's see how that looks. This is how it looks. We'll get rid of with 100%. This is how it looks, which is fine. I would like to change that. So I'm going to get rid of the left and right padding. This is how it's going to look then. I will add a border radius to this. So I'll add 2 rem. I think that should be fine. 2 rem is fine. I'll increase the size. I'll make the icon bigger. I'm going to reduce the padding, and I'm going to increase the size of a text. So I think the size of the text is hmm, font size. Let's keep it 1 rem, and color will be VAR black. Right, so this looks somewhat like the icon, but again, this is a little bigger. So let me go ahead and make the icon more smaller, I guess. So 0.1, and I think I can get rid of the margin here. And instead of this, I'll let this be 0.5 itself. 0.5 is pretty less, so 0.75. Yeah, this still looks similar. I think we'll add a little bit more, 0.8. That should be nice. So yeah, 0.8 is the padding to the top, and left and right is going to be the same. Yeah, this looks fine. We might style it more towards the end, I believe. But this so far this looks pretty decent. And something that I'll do is that I'm going to give this a margin bottom of 1 rem to just have a little space between the text and the button. Yeah, this is fine. So yeah, okay. So now what we want to do is I will add a hover animation, and on hover I'm basically, let's see what happens on hover. So on hover of this button it's becomes slightly gray, and that is about it. So a pretty simple animation yet again. So I'll just make the background color as VAR. I think it's called headings, right? This color. And again, a very simple touch, but it helps a lot. Cursor will be pointer, so that it looks like it's a button, and yeah, this is perfect. Something else that I noticed is the Google icon is a little bigger in the original. clone. So we'll go ahead and make our Google icon a little bit bigger as well. This looks better now. All right. So now all we have to do is this is our button. I will just copy this, paste this here. Instead of Google, I'm going to say Apple and sign up with Apple. And now the thing about signing up with Apple is, for some reason, the weight of this is more than the weight of our Google button. So something that this is pretty weird, right? Look at how sign up with Google is just not in bold, and sign up with Apple and sign up with phone or email is with bold. So this is something that I found pretty weird, but I guess if we want to make a pixel perfect design, we will stick to this convention. I do not know what this convention is for, Apple supremacy or something, but let's see. Right, I found this very weird, but okay. And something that we want to do is um, I'll make this margin top as 1 rem itself. So I think then we won't be needing this. Yeah, this is better now. Okay, so we'll have another button, and this time this button will have no icon. It's just going to say sign up with email or phone. And with this, we should be, yeah, we have our three buttons, right? And now all that is left is this text. So we'll copy this as well. I'm going to make a p tag. I'm going to add this, and over here I'm just going to add a href slash. I'm going to add a class name, and I'm going to say tutor links. Right, I'm going to have this over here as well, slash p, and including cookie use as well. I'll have a slash a here. All right, so now what we need to do is I will go ahead, I'll dot twitter dash links, I think that is what it was called. Right, and yeah, over here I'm going to make the color as we are blue, which is our Twitter blue, obviously, and I'm going to say text decoration none. I'll make this important, or I won't. Let's see how that looks now. This is how our this looks. For some reason, there's a hmm. So our p tag is starting here and closing here. Something is not matching, and that is why. Let's see. We might be missing a closing tag somewhere over here. Yeah. All right. Pretty nice. Not bad, I would say. Something that I'm going to add is line height. So over here, I'm going to add a line height of 1 rem. Might be a lot. Let's see. No, 1.2 rem. Yeah, a line height of 1.2 rem is fine. Yeah. So any doubt so far? We are almost done with the right nav bar as well, or right sidebar, if you want to call it that. And we have also finished 1 hour of coding. So 2 more hours remain, and I think we are doing a good job so far, right? Yeah, we are doing a pretty good job. Let me know if my pace is a bit fast for you, or if it's a bit slow. I'll speed up and reduce my pace accordingly. Right? Yeah. So any issues with the links? Any issues in general with anything? Any doubts? Feel free to ask me. Right. So I'll be waiting for you to ask me a few questions. Let's take 2 3 minutes to do that. And till then, I'll add a little hover animation over here, and I'm just going to say on hover of Twitter links, I want to give it a text decoration of underline. Yeah, so this is better now. Like I said, let's make this session interactive, right? Otherwise, it's going to be really boring 3 hours for you and for me. So feel free to ask any doubts, any suggestions, any additional features that you want me to put in. We'll do that. Yeah. Okay, let me look at the link then. I feel a lot of you are having issues with the link. The thing is, this link should be available to you guys. Hmm, should I give you guys the role of editor? If ideally I'm not supposed to, but hmm, I think the link in the description is working because the second device that I'm on, I can just open it through the link in the description and it works. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So now what we have to, apart from the link, like, do you guys have issues with the code, the way I'm coding? Any issues with that? Let me know. Okay. Okay. So if no doubts, let's continue. Now we'll be building this component. You can call it ideally terms of service, privacy policy, cookie policy, etc. are in the footer, and they've also mentioned this at the rate 2022 Twitter's common corporation. So we should be making this. We can call this a footer, but it's not really a footer. But okay. So over here, it's nothing but it is just different links that they have separated, and that's about it. So I guess terms of service, whatever the links are, terms of service, privacy policy, cookie policy. So terms of service, privacy policy, and cookie policy. Right. Apart from that, there is accessibility, ads info, and more. If we click on more, there is this little pop-up that is happening. All right. So we can make this. Let's see. Okay, so we have accessibility, ads, info, and more. Accessibility. I think I misspelled accessibility. Yeah, accessibility and ads info. All right. So this is how this is looking currently. I will have to style this obviously. So I'm going to say dot right links, and I'm going to give this a display flex. Flex wrap will be wrap. And in fact, I think we don't need to make it wrap. Display content flex start. Uh, line item center. And something that I'll do is yeah, good. Over here, I'm going to give it a gap of 100. Pretty good. I'm also going to give it a margin of 100. Hmm. What is the margin that I've given or the padding that I've given to my sign up container? Margin, okay, it's 80% and auto. So let's give it the same styling. Okay. So instead of doing that, I can just say hmm, yeah, we can have something like this. I'm just thinking of different ways to actually doing it correctly, right? Ideally, this should be the way, but then our links are breaking. So I guess I'll have to give a minimum width, right? Links p tag. I'll have to give a min width of, let's say, 10, and let's see how that looks. Okay, that does not look nice at all. Something that I'm also noticing is even after saying flex wrap, the wrap is not really happening. Okay, now it happened. All right, pretty cool. Hmm. Or ideally, I can do this as well, and this should be the same thing. Yeah, this works. All right. Something that I should do is rather than saying this, I'll just say width, and let me just give it a width of 50%. Yeah. So we just have terms of service, privacy policy, cookie policy. I can also have these as three different flexes, and I believe that will make our lives much simpler, and that is a better approach to have. Right. So let's do that. I think let's have three flexes instead of having flex wrap and the entire issue with flex wrap. Let's do that. Yeah. So now we'll basically have three flexes, and every flex will have p tags, and that is how it's going to be. And I can just copy this particular thing over here. Perfect. And now if I refresh, this is how it looks like, which is fine. I'll make this as 80% again, which is fine. And something that we'll do is I will get rid of this margin top. There's no need for this. Just making our lives a little harder. Yeah, so this is how our this currently looks like. Now what I'll say is, instead of giving it a margin up of I think 0.5 rem should be fine as well, right? Okay. Yeah, and in fact margin top 0.5 is a lot too, so I'm just going to make it 0.25, and I will give this a margin, not this. Let me actually give the sign up container margin bottom. Yeah, or one rem is fine too. All right, so this is what it looks like, which is fine. We could have styled this better, but I think this will do for now. Cursor will be pointed, and one thing that I'll do again is right links p hover, and on hover you want to do text decoration underline. So again, a very simple styling which goes a long way, right? And yeah, so now if you want to know how to build this more modal, it is again something which is very simple and very easy to do. So let's actually do that. Right, I'm going to have this p tag called more, and below this I'm going to have yeah, okay. Below this I am going to have a div. We can also create a on click function, or we can just have a simple div. So let's see what you want to do. Right, there are multiple ways to do it. So in case if you ever have any doubts on how to make a component, all you have to do is just Google. Everything is available on Google, right? On W3 schools to be very specific. So we can just say menu hover W3 schools, and I think that this should get us a hoverable drop down menu. Yeah, like this. Right, and this is exactly what we need. If you want to create a click drop down, we can just go over here. This is going to be a click drop down, and we can use this as well. And as you can see, the code for this is very simple, right? It provides you with the styling, it provides you with the function for the script as well, right? So if you actually want to do it, just click on try it yourself, and yeah, we can have this, or if you want to just go with the basic one, you can just try yourself with this, and you can have this drop down, right? Again, very simple code. All you have to do is just basically copy this drop down code, and over here we're going to have the same thing. Instead of having our div as drop down, I'm going to call this as p, right? And over here, instead of having this yeah, or actually I'll just have this as div only. My bad. I'll make this as p instead of this button, and we're going to say more dot dot dot. The styling for this will be right links p, right? So I'm just going to say class more p tag. So whatever styling we gave to our right links p, I'm just going to give it to more p tag as well. Dot dot slash hover, and this should be good. Um, yeah, and this should be good. Right, as you can see, we have this more tag, but by default, home about contact is the div that we haven't styled yet. So I'm just going to go and copy the styling for that as well. This is the styling for our drop down button hover, drop down content, etc. etc. We don't need to do this much, but let's just go ahead and add this as well. So I'm going to add another comment, and I'm going to say drop down styling. right? And I'm just going to copy this code. Now we don't technically need this drop down button styling. So in fact, I have pretty much removed this, so I can get rid of this drop down button styling entirely. So we can get rid of this, right? We have our drop down content like this and our drop down div like this. So now if I go and refresh, this is how it looks like, completely fine, right? Okay. Yeah, we'll also give it a box shadow because there's a pretty nice box shadow that they have given, like Twitter has given. It's basically a white drop shadow, so we can change that pretty quickly. Instead of having a black one, I can just say 255, 255, 255, or 256. My bad. 256 is white. What is it? 255. What is the, yeah, 255? Okay, so on click of this, nothing really happens. Oh, so do you mean the drive link over here is not working? Let me see if the drive link from this link is not working. All right, so I understand now. So this is the drive link which is not working, right? So take the drive link from the description then. All right, I have sent the drive link multiple times in the chats. You can go get the drive link from there as well. The pinned one is not correct. I will change that. I'll ask someone to quickly change that. My apologies for that as well. But yeah, okay. So now there is nothing really happens when we click on it, right? So what do we change that? How do we change that? So basically, for that, there is this script that W3 Schools has written, and we can just simply copy that as well. Right? We might have to change it because we changed a few. Yeah, we changed a few stylings, but yeah. So let me just add drop down over here, and this is a drop down code. So I'm going to have our scripts over here. Right. There's no okay. There is my drop down. There's no drop down button, but instead of saying drop down button, now we have the more p tag. So I'm just going to simply say this. And now ideally, if I refresh and if I click on our code, it should pop up, and this pops up. So which is obviously pretty cool, right? We are almost there. We'll just style this properly now. So I think we do not need this big of a shadow. Basic normal shadow should do nice as well. That is fine. Right, and background color will be var black. On hover, I want to say var background gray. So this fixes a lot of our styling issue. And let me just make this 4 as well and see how that looks. That is a lot. Hmm. All right, and now what you want to do is colors will be var white itself. And yeah, something that I cannot get right is their box shadow. So let me see if I can actually inspect this element and get their box shadow from there. Right, so this is the div. We want to actually go to the parent div, and let's see if I can find their particular box shadow. Okay, so this is their box shadow. So we can just copy this honestly, and let me paste this and see how that looks. So now we should ideally be having the same box shadow as them. Yeah, which looks much cleaner. Something that they've done is their more is also, it has a border radius, so we'll give ours a border radius as well. Let's say 1 rem should be fine. This is technically 10 rem. Right. Hello, we are you going to use React.js? No, we won't be using React.js. This is just a simple HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript application. And so we're just going to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So now, if you click on this, you'll see our menu looks almost the same, not exactly the same. And the reason for that is obviously we'll have to keep changing the styling. Let's see what all drop down options this has. It has about, status, Twitter for business and developers. So about, status, Twitter for developers. And I think one more thing, Twitter for business and developers. Okay. Twitter for business. Let me just copy this and developers. Something that I'll do is I'll select all of these and I'll get rid of this. Yeah. So now if I go here and refresh, now our div technically looks exactly the same again, almost. For that, I will increase the min width of this. I guess I should make it 12 rem, and that should be slightly better. Yeah, this is slightly better. And now it looks pretty much the same. Now I don't have any issues with this. And yeah, something that I think we can oh never mind, let's just let this be. Right, instead of saying my function, I'm going to change this to drop down function. Feel free to go ahead and read this function as well. All it does is it gets the drop down and it then technically toggles the show class, and then it basically gets shown, right? And the styling is very simple. Uh, it's just basically using a absolute div, and initially the display is none, and when we click on it, the display becomes block, and that is about it. Right, so we have implemented this as well. Now, this is something that I did not implement in the original crypto clone. So this is something that I just implemented right now in front of you on a live stream. So that was one of the points that I wanted to show, that as a developer, feel free to take any opportunity as a challenge, and or any challenge as an opportunity to learn. And all you have to do is just you just have to Google the right things, and you can easily find out how to make anything, right? You guys saw me struggle with the shadow part, so I just inspect elemented and I copied the exact shadow that Twitter has or Twitter uses. Right, so again, this will bring us to, I think, around 50% of our entire live stream, because now we are done with the right sidebar, the left sidebar. Now only the middle bar is left, and the thing that is left is the bottom sign up dev. Right, let's go look at our to-do list. So we are done with this as well, and as you can see, this is technically halfway. Right, we have, how many have we come? We have completed 5 to-do lists. We have one, two, three, four, 5 more remaining. Right, and this is extra features if time allows. I already added an extra feature of the more drop down. Right. So I believe we are pretty on track as far as our time constraint, goes. And yeah, so someone said that the drive link is now working. Let's go ahead and see if that's the case. Yeah, the drive link in the description is always going to work. The drive link in the chats is going to work, but the drive link that is pinned currently is not going to work, and I'll get that changed as soon as possible. Right. Yeah. So let's take a quick 2-3 minutes break, and we'll start at the middle point again, 4:30. Till then, let's see what all is left. So obviously, our middle component is fully left, and that is the main part, and that is the part that you all have been waiting for. But our bottom bar is also left. This blue, don't miss what's happening part. This is again going to be fairly simple to code, nothing special there. Right. I believe the tabs part is something that you guys are looking forward to because that is the main part. Apart from that, everything else is pretty simple. Simple HTML, CSS. Correct. So let me know in the chats how everyone is doing. Are you guys following along the code with me? How many guys are live right now? I cannot see that particular number. I cannot. It says around 47 people are currently watching. So that's cool. Right, how's everyone's day going? How are you liking this course so far? Let's talk about that. Any doubts in anything so far? Let's try to be interactive, everyone, like I said again. Right. So interesting. Good. Okay. I am glad that you guys are finding this interesting because I personally found this pretty interesting to make myself. And yeah, we are halfway there, so that's good. Congratulations for sticking with me for 1.5 hours. It's about to be exactly 90 minutes, and we have half of the live stream still left. So that's pretty cool. We'll quickly make the middle section and then I'll quickly make it responsive and we'll try to end the live session ASAP. And I'll also be giving a task at the end for you guys to do, right? Because again, like I said, at AccioJob, this is what we believe in. We do not believe in spoon feeding. So teaching is at its place, but I want to personally give you a task that you guys do. How much time did it take for you to build it the first time? It took me a while. I didn't give it a full day. I'd never sat like I am sitting right now to make it. But it took me a few days. I made components bit by bit. I was trying to this last week was pretty hectic for me. So I was trying to adjust everything in between. And yeah, it did take me 2 3 days, but I never coded it in one sitting. So this is the first time I'm coding this itself in the first sitting with you guys, right? So I myself had no idea if I would be able to finish it in 3 hours or if I won't be able to finish it in 3 hours. So that is why, again, there's always room for error. So that is why I tried to include this feature as well, because I feel I was about to, I was moving a bit too fast for the live stream, and that is why I added one more feature. And yeah, apart from that, do let me know if there's any lag in the Wi-Fi, any lag in the voice, any issues that you're facing. If you want me to increase the font size of the code, I can increase the font size of my VS Code to make it a bit simpler for you. If you guys would want me to do that, right? So is this better? Yeah, I will get that changed. Give me 2 minutes. I'll just get that changed. All right. So the link should get updated soon. I have left the text, and yeah. All right. So it's 4:30. 90 minutes are officially over. Our break is also officially over. Right. So let's get started, and let's quickly code the middle bar now. I am tempted to actually code the bottom part first and just get done with it and then go to the middle part. But I know you guys have been waiting for the middle part, so we'll just get started with that first. All right. So what do you guys see in the middle part? We see that there is a search bar at the top. There's a settings icon on the right of that. So that is another flex, right? So we have a flex which has a search bar. The search bar itself is a flex because it has an icon and then an input, and then it has a settings bar. Then we have our tabs, correct? And after our tabs, we have the content. So the content is the easy part. Let's just worry about the tabs so far, right? And these are the tabs that I'm talking about. So there's for you, there's trending, there's sports, entertainment, etc., etc. Correct. So yeah, let's get started with that. Correct. I hope everything is good. Peacemaker says that everything is good. Pavan also agrees, and Akshata also said that there is no doubts. All right. I'm glad that you guys are interacting. Others as well. Please leave chats, spam the chats, right? Let me know whatever you want to, anything. Okay, so let's go ahead and build our middle section now. So our middle section again, first things first, is going to be a simple div, right? And this div is going to be called, or I'm going to give it the class name of middle bar, I think, or middle sidebar. Let me see in the original code what is the name that I've given it. Um, Yeah, I've called it middle section. Yeah, all right. So this is the middle section, right? And middle section, it really involves us doing a little bit of math, if I'm being honest with you, because the left sidebar is 30% of the screen, the right sidebar is 30% of the screen. So hence our middle section will be ideally just 40% of the screen, right? So let's just go ahead and code that part first. And I think now is the correct time to make this position sticky and have the middle section over here and just make it say width as 40%, right? And something that I think we can do is I can give it a background color as well of clear black. I don't need to, but just in case. And let me refresh now. And as you can see, there is no change. Everything is fine. So if I say hi over here now, it should ideally just show in the middle screen, and it does. So our code is working, right? If you are wondering as to why it is working, it's pretty simple because our body is a flex, right? So what we have said is, yeah, our body is a display flex. So the left sidebar takes 30% of the screen, the right sidebar takes 30% of the screen, and in between we have 40%. So 30%, 40%, 30%. That's 100% of our entire screen. And the left and the right are sticky. That means they're just going to stay there. And the middle is the part which is going to be scrollable, right? And that is basically the code that I have gone forward with. If you guys feel that there is some uh, we will be making it responsive. Yeah, okay. So all right, so we will be making it responsive towards the end, right? And making it responsive is also an interesting part. So let's start. So as long as you guys understood this implementation of 30%, 40%, and 30%, we are good to go. Correct. So let me know if you guys understood that, and if not, I'll explain it again. But till then, let's continue. Okay, so our middle section code is done. Now, what we want to do is we want to have our top bar, right? And the reason why I'm making going to make another div is because this top bar is also going to be sticky. And let me show what I mean. Okay. So if you go to the original Twitter, what you'll notice is this top bar is also sticky because it stays on the screen, right? And this is one project in which everything was really kind of fixed. Only this small middle section is scrolling. Everything else is staying on the screen forever, right? So hence we'll be making a top nav, and inside this we'll be having our search. We'll be having a flex for our search bar. So search flex, and search flex will be a flex in which we'll have the search div class search bar, right? And we'll have our image, right? And this image will be the image that we use for our settings. So assets slash setting.svg, and I'm going to name this as last name search icon. All right. No operating system is bad or good, but it depends what your preference is. I personally really like my Mac, and I'm grateful that I have it. But yeah, I was a developer. I developed for a really long time. I developed on Windows as well, and it worked just fine for me. I never had any issues with my Windows laptop as well. It depends from a person to person. All right. So yeah, let's code our top nav bar as well, right? So now what I want to say is I will be making my top nav bar sticky yet again. So position sticky, right? And I will be giving this a top of 0. I will be no need for width 100. Let me just give it a background color of the black. For now we will be changing that because remember we have to make it blurry, but we'll make it blurry towards the end. I will not be doing anything to make it blurry as of right now, because there's no point in making it blurry right now, right? Okay, so we have given it this. I'm going to give it a padding of 1 rem. I think that should be good, right? Then what I'll do is inside my search flex there will be a search bar. So this is an input. Type will be text. Case holder will say search Twitter, and yeah, no class name is needed. This should be good. Over here, I'll have another image. I'm going to call this image as assets and search.svg and search icon. All right, so this I think should make more sense to you guys now. And what something that we will do is I will make my search flex as a flex, and my search bar will also be a flex. And I'll explain as to why we have two flexes. Right, so I'll make this display flex. I will give it a justify content of space between this time. I'll say line items will obviously be centered, and since space between no gap is needed, but I'll still give it a gap of 100 just to be safe. Yeah, and now I'll have the search box. My search box will also be a flex. Just display flex, justify content, flex start. Line items will be center. Gap will be 0.5 rem. Let's see what we have, how it looks. All right, so we already have the beginnings of a search bar, if I'm correct. So to complete a Twitter clone as an intermediate developer, it will take more time than you. Yeah, I mean, practice makes perfect, right? So if you keep practicing, your development speed is also going to go up, right? So that's totally up to you. Anyway, I'm glad that VD and Zone Gaming, you are pretty interactive, right? I love your username as well. I'm guessing that you are a gamer. And sir, how to use height in 2em rather than pixels? It is mostly used in every case. Yeah, so I use like as you were not there when I think I explained this in the code in the session. I use REM, so that is relative EM, and that is a little bit better, right? And all right, let's just continue. I'll explain the entire code again. Okay, so this is what we have so far, and as you can see, this input icon is not how we want our input icon to look like. So I'll also go ahead and say dot search box input. I'm going to give it a background color of VR, I think background gray, or was it light gray? Let's see. Hmm. Okay, so let's see as to why this is not being applied. Have I given it another styling? Oh, it's search bar and not box. My bad. Search bar. Yeah, this makes more sense. This is what we have so far. I'll get rid of the borders as well. So I'll say border none. We don't want any borders. I'll get rid of this. We don't need this. Just look better. As you can see, there's an outline. So the way we get rid of that is by saying dot search bar input, then focus. And over here, I'm going to say outline none. So now there's no outline, right? I will go ahead and make the color as we are light gray. I'm going to say font family, and the font family is going to be the same as this one, which is chirp, right? And that we changed it. Now what we also want to do is I will give this a flex of 1 so that it takes the entire screen, like the entire place. I'm going to have a padding. I'm going to say zero point 0.5 rem on the left and one, I mean 0.5 rem on the top and 1 rem on the sides. This looks good. I will also say border radius of 1 rem or 2 rem, I think. Let me just organize the styling a little bit so that it makes more sense to you guys. Yeah, so our search bar is also almost there now, right? It looks pretty clean, pretty neat, and it's obviously you can write in it as well. Right, so now something that I'm seeing is our yeah. So now it's going to go the entire way. I might increase the font size of it. Yeah, I think I should. So let me increase the font size for the search bar input. I'm going to say font size as 1 rem. I think 1 rem might be a lot, but let's see. Yeah, 1 rem is just fine. And the search icon as well, I'll just change it a little bit. Search dash icon, I'm going to say height as 1 rem and width as 1 rem as well. And let's see how that looks. Uh, Make it 1.2, 1.2. And I'll actually give dot setting icon the same setting as well. Yeah, so this is much better, right? So our search bar is also completed now. Yeah, thank you so much. Zone Gaming, right? VDN Zone Gaming. So, yeah. Any doubts, anyone in this? Anything that you want to know how we implemented and why we had so many flex? So the first flex was for this thing and this settings icon. The next flex inside this flex was for this icon and this input. So we have that's why we have two flexes. No doubt. All right. Good, good. That's good. I'm glad that the way I'm coding, it's easy to kind of understand for you guys as well. I will quickly make this icons, or I just want to make the setting icon as cursor pointed, but I'll just do this for now so that the settings icon is cursor pointed. This shouldn't be, but whatever. Maybe I'll make this as cursor pointer too so that people know that they can click on this, right? Right. Okay, perfect. So now coming to the interesting part. Now we will be building our tabs, and the tabs is basically these five tabs, right? There is for you, there is news, there's post, entertainment, trending, right? These five tabs, and what you need to understand this is tabs is nothing but it is just a simple. Firstly, it's a div flex, right? It has five buttons, and on click of one specific button, we are showing a specific div, right? So there is when I click on for you, there's the for you div which gets rendered. When I click on trending, there's the trending div which gets rendered. When I click on news, it's the news div which gets rendered, and so on, right? And all we have to do is we will be writing a very simple JavaScript script for that. And honestly speaking, if you want to actually just know how to make tabs, you can just Google tabs in HTML CSS, and the first link that you will get is for W3 schools. And over here, as you can see, this is basically the kind of tabs that we want to make, right? So all we basically have to do is I can literally just copy this entire code, and I can just change these tabs from London to, let's say, for you, Paris to trending, Tokyo to search, or whatever the tabs were, right? News, sports, entertainment, and my code will work. And then it's all about just styling. And yeah, if you scroll down, you'll also see that there is this code for choosing a tab by default, because right now by default there was no tab selected, we had to click it, right? So by default, if you look at Twitter, we are selecting the for you. So there's this ID that we can pass in the code, and if we pass this ID called default open, it's going to open that. And the way it's going to do it is it's just going to say document dot get element by ID, and it's going to dot click it. And we already have on click functions for every tab, right? So in essence, what we're writing is nothing but a code to just on click, and on every on click function we are rendering a different div. In the very essence, that is what we are doing. And it might seem complicated at first, but again, it is something which is very, very simple, and you can easily do this yourself as well. Flex is definitely easier than display in a block. So something that I personally like doing is I use Flexbox a lot, and I believe that you can code whatever you want to by using just Flex. I have made a lot of websites. I've worked with a lot of clients, a lot of um, yeah, I've worked at a lot of places, and I've never not had to use anything other than Flex to style my style whatever the website is. Right? Everything that you want to style, you can style using Flexbox. So just understanding how Flexbox works will really help you in the long run, right? Okay. So if you guys are ready to learn how to make tabs, let's go ahead and get started. So leave a plus one, or let me know if you guys are excited. There are only 40 people now, and it's about to be 2 hours of us coding. In 10 minutes, it'll be 2 hours of us coding. So that's two-thirds of the way there. Now I feel I need to hurry up because we are coding a bit slowly and we might not be able to finish. So let's try to do that. Okay, perfect. So how are we going to build our tabs component? Let me actually build it with you guys, and let me actually just copy this code, and let me say that I'm also going to copy the code from the internet and show you how you guys will be doing it. Because at the end of the day, this is what development is. You have to know what to Google and how to get whatever you want to get, right? So the code for this is very, very simple. Again, I can basically just copy this entire this tab component, right, including the script. And look at this. This is just a very small code that you have to do. So inside my middle section now, inside the top nav itself, um, yeah, inside the top nav itself, I'm going to say, I'm going to paste all of this. I will get rid of this for now. These are the script functions, and I will add the script over here. So something that you need to understand is, let's say I'm looking at this code for the first time, right? You need to have an understanding of how the code is actually working. And let me just copy the styling part, and then we'll see what we have already and how are we going to make the best out of it. Right, so let me just go ahead and copy this as well. So I'm going to say tabs over here so that we can find a tabs code in this. Right, now let me go to my Twitter clone, and let's actually just let me just refresh this code for the first time and see what we have. So this is what we have. We have exactly the same thing that we had there, right? And over here we have our tabs, and as soon as I click on them, my tabs is working, right? Like I said, it is a very simple code. Now all I have to do is I have to change London, Paris, Tokyo, and I have to change these divs accordingly, and that is it. That is all that I have to do. And I obviously have to just style it a little better as well, right? So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to my top nav, and I will be getting rid of this padding 1 rem, and I think I'm just going to have it here. And the reason for that is, now if I refresh, my padding is still going to look the same, and now my tabs are end to end, right? And that is something that I wanted. My tabs need to be end to end. Now all we have to do is change these tabs from London, Paris, Tokyo to for you news, trending, whatever the tabs were, right? And that is just the styling part. And if I were to explain the code to you, the code is very simple. But first, let's just change our code. So over here, I'm going to say, instead of London, I'm going to replace this to for you, right? Instead of Paris, I'm going to make that trending. Correct. Instead of Tokyo, I'm going to make that news. Right. And similarly, I'll make some new ones. So after news, I believe it was sports. So I'm going to add sports here. Right. And after sports, it was entertainment. Entertainment. Now, just like that, I'm going to create two more divs. I'm going to have sports and entertainment. All right. This is what we have. Yeah. So, let's now, okay. Let's now go ahead and see what changes that has brought onto the site. Let me refresh. Now we have 5 tabs. What we needed for you, trending, news, sports, entertainment, right? So we are almost there. Our tabs are working. And now all we need to do is we need to style it properly, and we need to make it default open. So let me actually go ahead and get that code as well. So if you notice in our how to create tabs, I told you if we want to make show tab by default, this is how we're going to do it, right? If I open and refresh right now, by default there is no tab that is visible. And what we want to do is we want to display the for you tab by default. So how are we going to do that is, I will be copying this code which just says we need to give it an ID of default open. And as soon as it has the ID of default open, we will be adding this in our script as well. So yeah, let me go ahead and give this. I'm going to give an ID of default open over here, and I'm going to copy this script as well, which basically just clicks that particular element, and as it clicks it, it runs this open city function, right? So I'm just going to have this in our script as well. Okay, so now if I refresh, by default my for you tab should be open, and which it is open. So clearly the code works as well, right? And yeah, okay. So now we don't really need W3 ski schools anymore, and we have everything that we want, and we can get started. Correct? So this is how our code looks. Pretty cool. Okay, so now one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the OpenCity function to, I'm just going to call it switch tabs function. And instead of city name, I'm going to have tab name, right? So just to make our code a little cleaner and the way we want it to run. Okay, so what does the switch tab function do? First thing, it takes this event object, right? Now, event object is something that by default is in every JavaScript function, and it takes a tab name as a parameter. Now, what we do is we get the tab content, and we are mapping over it, and we are saying display none. So whatever tab content is there, we're going to not show it. Then we are going to say is we will only take the tab name. We'll be getting the element by ID. The ID is the tab name. So let's say I click on for you. So now we're going to say display block for you. And we are also going to add the class name called active, right? This function is for making things inactive again. So the first two for loops are basically going through every tab and making sure that every tab is inactive and it is not shown, right? The tab content is not shown and the tab is not is inactive. And then what we are saying is towards the end of the function, when we have made sure that every tab is inactive and every tab content is not being shown, then only make the tab active which we have clicked on, and that is we're accessing using their tab names, right? Or tab IDs to be honest. And then we're just adding the class name of active. And then if I go to my code and show you what the styling part does is, the styling part is very simple. So by default, yeah, by default tab content is display none, so it is not being showed, right? But then whenever we click on it, we set the display to be active on clicking it. I do not know if you guys understand how JavaScript works, but this is at the very basic level, this is how JavaScript really works, right? And now all we have to do is we just have to style this. First things first, I'll make the tab component a display flex, right? I'm going to say justify content as space between, and I'm going to say align item center. And what that is going to let me do is that will spread apart all of these tabs to cover the entire screen as it does. Now I'm also going to say I'm going to add a background color to this, and I'm going to say var black. So that is black in color. I'm going to make sure it has no border because we don't need it to have any border, right? Or I can just do this, and I'll let you know why I'm doing that. For now, no border, right? In fact, I can just get rid of this, I don't need it. So no border, we won't, we'll have overflow X as auto, just in case our tabs kind of, you know, start moving out. Something that we'll do is tab button, I'll make sure the background color is black but the color is white. We are white. And on hover as well, I'm going to give it a background color of var background gray. And on active, I'm going to say var black itself. That is fine. Color needs to be var white. Something that I might have missed is if it is active. Okay, yeah. So the color is white. If it is active, something that we'll also be doing is I will be making the font weight 600. So it's going to be a bit bolder. I'm going to add a border bottom, and it's going to be 2 pixels solid var dash dash blue, and color will be light gray otherwise. Okay. So now what we have done is I've basically said the color will be light gray, and if we click on it, then this particular thing is going to get styled. Something that we want to do as well is this, right? So this is fine. We are getting there, and yeah. Something that I will do is I do not really like this font style, so I'm just going to make it one rem. And yeah, so this is slightly better. We are getting there now, right? So our tabs is looking like our these tabs. The only difference is this border is much more thicker, so I think I'll give it a little bit more. Let's just make it 4 pixels and see how that looks. So 4 pixels looks fine. It looks exactly the same. I'm going to have a border bottom radius as well. So border bottom left radius, let me say 0.5 rem, and I'm going to have the same thing for right radius as well. 0.5 rem is a lot, so 0.2 rem, 0.2 rem, and now it's a little curved. Yeah, so we have that as well now. Right now, the only thing is what I want to do is I will not have a width to my particular thing, but I'm going to say x1 so that all of these take the same styling, right? And this is obviously better. Right. So now we are almost there where we wanted to reach. So our tab component is styled as well, and it is a little better. Right. Okay. So that is good. And is my internet lagging? Is everything fine, working perfectly? Let me know. I feel it is lagging a little bit. So let me know in the chats. And our tabs is almost done. I think it's pretty much done for now. If we might come back and style it a little bit more depending on the time, right? Because now we just have 1 hour and we have to finish this entire middle page component, and we have to add in the bar at the bottom as well. All right. So if this is done, let me style the other things. There's no this thing needed, right? We don't need to have a padding over here as well. No border top, anything. We just have to say display none over here, and this is fine. And the reason why I have it attached to the side is because it's full width, right? This part will be having a padding and nothing else. Okay. So, all right, let's move ahead. Again, I do not see there are 31 people watching, and please in the chats let me know if everything is working fine, if my internet connection is fine as well, so that we can move ahead. Okay. Himant, what do you mean no? Is everything working fine or everything is not working fine? Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and finish this project then, right? Okay, so our tabs has also been created, and yeah, now we need to create the content part of it, right? And for that, you will notice that I have added assets that you can use. And now all we have to do is we just have to change these divs according to our tab. So let's say this is the for you, right? So I can just say hi over here, and I'll quickly get rid of all of the content over here. like I said, I would love for you guys to enter or make your content in these tabs accordingly, right? And let me just start styling them. Okay. So our For You tab. So what does our For You tab have? It has a picture to begin with, and after that, it has this these texts which says what is trending, right? Whatever it is, basically supposed to be my feed. It will be different for your feed as well, but yeah, let's go ahead and build it, right? And the way we had built it in our normal Twitter clone is, let me just open and see. Okay, so this is what we had in our Twitter clone. Right, we had a picture and it said trending for you, build your career at AccioJob, and so on. Let's build this component, right? So now this is nothing but this is just a simple image, right? And over here we have our SRC, which says we'll say assets, or in fact, rather than using an SRC, let's just use a div, and I'll tell you as to why we are using a div. Because if you notice, there is a shadow which is being applied to every image. Like Twitter by default, I don't know if you guys can see, but every image starts bright, but towards the end, it has a black opacity, and so that's a pretty cool effect that Twitter has gone ahead and done for us. So let's actually go ahead and build that part now. Okay, so let's make a div. I will call this div as class, and I'm just going to say tab dash tabs dash main image. So this is going to be the main image, and by default, this is let's just let this has the coding as the styling. My bad, and I'm just going to say ending for you, right? And then I'm going to have a p tag says building building your tech career at GitHub. All right, let's style this now. So the way we are going to style it is very simple. All we are going to say is dot tabs main image, and then what we are going to have as a styling is, yeah, so the styling that we're going to have is going to be very simple. It is nothing but we'll be having a background image, and we'll be covering our image with a linear gradient first. And our linear gradient will be to bottom, right? It's going to be, because it's at the bottom, we're just going to say RGBA 0 comma 0 comma 0 point. I think let's start with 0 itself. And then we are going to say comma RGBA 0 comma 0 comma 0 to 0.7. And then we're going to have the URL outside of this gradient, I think. Yeah. Uh, and I'm going to say URL, and over here I'm going to say slash just assets slash trending.png, and let's see what that gives us. Before that, I'm going to give it a height of 380 pixels. These are values that I particularly worked out, and these work. You can have different values accordingly, but I'm going to give it a padding as well. I'm going to say display flex, because we want to show the text at the bottom. I'm going to say flex direction column, and I'm going to say flex justify content flex end. Right, now I will also say background position as center, so that the image is centered aligned always, no matter what screen you're looking at and how smaller it gets or bigger it gets, and background size will be covered. And that is it. So now if I go and refresh, let's see what we have. So we already have a pretty good background now. As you can see, there's this what do you say, there's this gradient that I was talking about. Right now it's not scrollable, and that's fine. Something that I need to do is I will add a little, I'm going to add a little gap at the end of this tabs so that there is a little room. Nothing major, just a little, I think, margin bottom of 0.1 rem will be fine. Yeah, just a little gap. That's it. Okay, now I'll quickly style my text as well. So I'm going to take tabs main image and S3. I'm going to make the margin for this as bottom, margin bottom 0. I'm going to have a font size of 0.8 rem, and I'm going to have a font weight which is normal as well. Right, similarly, I'll style the tabs main image p tag as well. The styling is pretty similar for that. It is just yeah, I'll give it a margin top of 0.5 rem. I'm going to add, I think I'm going to make the font weight as 600, that it's a little bolder, and the font size will be point, yeah, 1 rem is good. I think, yeah. And now let's see what we have. This is the styling that we have gone with, and this is pretty similar to the Twitter styling. Right. Okay, so we are done with this as well. Any problems, sir? No, no problem. Everything is fine. Uh, will you? Okay, so let's see if time permits us. I will. Otherwise, we would have deployed using GitHub pages. But yeah, you can. I think there is a video on how to display or how to upload your HTML website through GitHub on our channel as well. I think I saw that once, but otherwise, I will leave down resources for you guys. It's very simple of simple to upload your HTML project on GitHub pages. It's very simple to do that. Okay, so now the component that we'll be building is this. We'll be making this component, which is nothing but it is a text. And the good thing about this text is this is the styling that we'll be using everywhere. Even this component is nothing but it is this text itself, right? And yeah, it is this text itself. Our news component also has the same thing. So it's basically after this for you page, it's just repetition, right? And it's just copying and pasting. All right, so let's go ahead and build that component. So for that component, first things first, we will have three p tags. So one is the top heading, one is the bottom heading, and there's in the middle we have the hashtag, and that is going to be the general convention. Like every Twitter post is like that, basically. It is wrapped by three things, and that's about it. Something that I just noticed is there's a nice hover animation as well. So I don't know if you can see it, but it's very minimal. But if you hover over it, there's a background change. So we will do that too. That is something that I haven't done in the clone that I coded. Okay, so let's make that, right? Uh, it's nothing but it's just going to be a div again, and that div, let's just call it, I think, tabs, or I'll just say trending box. I'm going to call this trending box. And inside this trending box, we have three p tags, right? Uh, yeah, we have three p tags. The class name for one will be, I think, one will be the heading and the other will be the text. That's it. Okay. So class trending dash heading, and the other will be the trending text. Trending text, and the last will again be trending heading. Right, so over here we can just say something like trending with Or let's see, what did we have? We'll say trending in India, hashtag earthquake, trending with breaking news. Okay, so trending in India, hashtag earthquake. There was another earthquake yesterday, and by the way, I missed that. I felt the first one, but okay. Trending with hashtag breaking underscore news. Right, and over here I will have an ahref. Right, I don't. Okay, so if you guys remember, we had built a class for our links, and that was called Twitter links. So I'm just going to use that link over here as well. Twitter dash links. Yeah. So okay, before that, let me just style the trending box, trending heading, and trending text as well. Okay, so trending dash box first. It is going to be nothing but, yeah, I'm going to give it a margin top of zero point 0.5 rem, I believe, or maybe that's going to be too less. So I'm just going to give it 2 rem. I'm going to have a padding bottom and a border bottom as well. So padding bottom is basically because, yeah, just to kind of give it a padding bottom because there was less space, I believe, and border bottom will be again 1.5 pixels solid, um, var background color. Right, now to style our trending heading. Our trending dash heading will have, I believe, a font weight of normal. It's going to have a font size of, I think, zero point 0.8 rem. That worked fine. And a color of, yeah, light gray. Right. And apart from that, yeah. Or actually, we let's do one thing. Let's give this a font size of 1 rem and make this font weight light. Right. And I'm going to give this a margin. Hmm. Okay, so I believe the margin is going to look like top right will be 1 rem, bottom will be 0 rem, and left will be 1 rem again. And this should be fine. And a trending text, right? Yeah. So no margin needed, margin will be 0, right? And font size will be zero point 0.9 rem, so slightly smaller, and font weight will be extra bold. So instead of 600, we're going to go 800. And let's see how that looks. So this is how that looks, which is fine. Something that I notice is we cannot see our background. Yeah, so we can see our border as well. Yeah, now something, I'm not so sure if you guys are okay. So instead of saying margin top here, I mean giving it a margin everywhere, because notice how this will now be full width. But since our heading needs a margin as well, so we are just going to say margin of 0 rem and 1 rem, and the same thing with our text. Slightly better. What I'll do is I'll give this one. 1 rem is a lot, so zero point 0.5 rem, I think. Yeah, so this is much better, and something that I think we will just make this 1 rem. Right, so now this is much better, and it's pretty nicely styled. Now something that we'll do is that there was a slight change in the hover. right, and that is something that I think I missed, and I'm pretty sure on the live stream you guys won't be able to see that, but it is there. So let me just go ahead and pick that color. So as you can see, the color is not 0, it's actually 0808, right? So I'll go ahead and add that on the hover animation of a trending box. I'm going to say trending box dash hover background color, and I'm going to make the background color as hashtag 0808. So now we also have the same hover animation. Again, something that you can barely see, but it's there. Right? Okay. So now coming to the part where we have to repeat. So now all you have to do is you just have to repeat this component and this component, and you can basically build whatever you want to. Over here, let's say I want to have another component, and this time this is going to be the pollution component, right? And I want to say pollution in Delhi is rising. Correct. Now all I have to do is I'll go to style, and over here I'm going to copy the same styling that I had for this background image, and over here I'm going to copy and paste it, obviously. Yeah, and now all I have to do is I just have to change this image. Now I'll make this pollution.jpg. Right, and if I refresh, this is what we have. And as you can see, our div is already scrollable. So everything is working just fine. Our right navbar is going to be sticky, our left is going to be sticky, and our normal div is scrolling as the way it should have. Right, but for some reason it's not showing fully. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my tab content, I believe. And inside my tab content, I'm going to have a padding bottom of let's just say 4M, and that is just so that I can scroll a bit more over here, right? We want to see the full image. That's it, right? And now all you have to do is, like I said, just again copy this component and paste it over here, right? And instead of saying trending in India, you can just say pollution trends or whatever, hashtag pollution. And over here, instead of saying trending with, I'll just say 1.418K tweets. So again, this is just a content part, right? So I will not be doing the content part for you guys. I will obviously put it out there because this is where I had written a lot of content, right? And again, you can do the same thing with the trending page. So let's say we want to build our trending page. Over here, all I'm going to say is S3, right? uh, Trends in India, I think was the heading. And now all I have to do is just copy this trending box, right? Instead of saying this, I'm going to say one, and number one is, let's say, earthquake, right? Over here, I'm going to say hashtag earthquake, and I'm going to say, let's say, 99.99K tweets. Right, so now if I go ahead to my trending, refresh it to my trending, you'll see we have trends in India. Over here, I'll just give it a styling of margin. I'll say 0 rem and 1 rem, and that is about it. Right, and this will work perfectly now. Or I'll just say margin 1 in general. Yeah, so now we have number 1. Right, and similarly, all we have to do is just copy paste. I'll similarly create number 2, right, number 3, however you want to, and you can just edit this data. You can copy it from Twitter, right? If you want to use, I think there's an API for Twitter as well, you can use that as well. But again, this was a very simple HTML CSS project, so I did not want to complicate things that much. And yeah, so just copy paste it, add as many trends you want to. You can change the content. The content part is for you to do. My part was just to help you style it and show you how to implement things. Right. So similarly, we have the trending page as well. You can change this, and it's going to look exactly the same. right? You can add a share button over here if you want to. That's not in Twitter, but yeah, if you want to make these components, you can too. Feel free to do that. Again, it's very simple to do. It's again just a div. This is an image. This is going to be the name. This is going to be the icon, and so on. Right. Similarly, we have the news tab. Again, news tab is the same. There's going to be a picture. I have, by the way, inserted this very picture in the assets. So I think it's called news.jpg. Yeah. So you can use the same picture for it, and you can use the same content, right? And you can add this as well. All of this is very, very basic stuff. And yeah, right. So I think now it's a good time to kind of add our last component, which is this, and then make everything responsive. Because I don't really want to rush into the responsive part, because it's going to take a lot of time, honestly. So we are done with the searching component, we're done with the middle component, we are done with our components inside the tabs. All we have to do is add the sign up flex, which is the bottom flex, and make everything responsive, and then we should be good, right? Okay, so someone's asking, how will you attach a loading screen in the beginning of the body? All right, to do that, it is also very simple. All you can yeah, so to make a spinner loader, there's a specific code for that, loader in CSS, and you can pretty much make a CSS loader using this. And as you can see, it's the same loader that Twitter has. So again, you just have to copy this code, and this will be your loader that you can use. And then you can use a script function to show this loader for, let's say, 2 seconds. Since we're not fetching data from an API, you just have to show it for 2 seconds, right? There's a specific code for that too. Let's say show a component for 2 seconds using CSS, right? Right. So there's this code for that as well. All you need to do is write this script function, and you can add a timeout function, right? So you can use a set timeout function, and you can show it till that amount of time, and then you can just fade it out or whatever you want to. So there are a lot of ways to do that as well. So I was planning to actually show you the loader using that particular thing, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. So let's quickly build the last flex and then make everything responsive. Right. Feel free to add this loader as well. Again, the styling for this is very simple. It's just this much, right? It's just something which is rotating endlessly, infinitely, and yeah, nothing too complicated. All right, let's continue. So let's make this sign up component quickly, and sign up flex, which is going to be very simple to do. Let's go to our comment over here, bottom sign up div. I'm just going to say div. I'll have a class name, bottom sign up. Over here, there'll be a text, right? Which says, don't miss what's happening. People on Twitter are the first to know. That is very true. I'll cut this, I'll add this inside a p tag, right? And I'll add this entire thing inside a div. Hmm. All right. I'll add this inside a div. Right, I'm going to have another div flex for my buttons. So sign up dash button dash flex. Right, I'm going to have two buttons here, so two divs, or I can make two buttons as well, whatever you want to. Right, or in fact, let's just use divs. They're faster to style. Sign up, and This div will be called login, right? Um, Login slash sign up. I'm going to call this button as button outlined and call the other button as normal button, I guess. And I think now we can style it, right? Same text. Okay, so going to our bottom sign up div quickly, and I'll add the bottom sign up. I'm going to say width is 100 view width. Background color is VR blue, right? Blue. Padding is 1 rem. Um, Display is flex. Flex align is justify content is flex. Center um, line item, the center gap, I'm going to give it a gap of 10% because that is the value that worked for me. Then I'm going to say bottom dash text h3, margin will be 0, right? Font weight is going to be bold by default. Font size is going to be 1 rem. Dot bottom text p tag will be, again, margin will be 0. I don't think so we should make this margin 0, but font size will be 0.8 rem. If I refresh, okay, so I'll give this position fixed or position absolute, whatever works for us, and bottom will be 0. Right, so we have this now, and which is fine. I'll actually get rid of margin bottom here, but I'm just going to say margin 0.5 rem, 0 rem. Yeah, this is a bit better. 1.2 rem. Yeah, so this is fine now. I will quickly have the dot sign up button dash flex. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I'm going to make display as flex width. I don't need to do justify content as start a line items as center. I'm going to have a gap of 1 rem, right? Yeah. And now what we're going to do is I will style my button. So I'm going to have button dash outlined. Padding will be 0 rem and 1 rem, or 0.5 rem and 1 rem. Border will be 2 pixels solid var dash dash white. Right. Border radius is going to be 1 rem, I think will be fine. Or 2 rem. Yeah, 2 rem is fine. Padding I'll make 2 rem. Yeah, or 1.5 rem. Let's see how that looks. Yeah. Then I'm going to have a normal button, and this button will have the same styling mostly, but the only difference is the color will be VR black because the background color will be VR. White. Right. Uh, Please show how will you build the pop-up login and sign up in blue screen. All right. So to do that, making modals in HTML CSS is fairly simple as well. Like I said, I wanted to do that, but we might be having a time constraint. But build modals using HTML CSS, and if you just Google that, you will be able to make a modal box like this, right? So it's pretty simple to do. Again, the code is right here. All of it is very simple. You don't need to, yeah, it is going to be pretty simple, right? And the modal that I believe that you're talking about is the settings one. So as soon as we click on the settings one, there is this modal. We'll again show the loading for 2-3 seconds, and then we're going to have this text. Right. Let's see if time permits. We will quickly make that modal 2, or I'll try to do that too. Twitter, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't even think so. Twitter's website is built on HTML anymore. It used to be, obviously, but now I believe that it no longer is. I think, let me Google. Hmm. Yeah, I believe they must have changed recently now, because I don't think so. They're still using HTML or JavaScript. They're probably using React or any other newer technologies, right? Anyway, uh, yeah. So I think our sign up dev is almost done. The only things that is left is adding the hover animations. I'll quickly do that too, and dot button dash outline dash hover. And over here what I'll do is I'll make the background color as we are white, and the normal color as we are black. Right, similarly I'll add another hover animation for this, and over here all I'll do is I'll make the border color, and let's see how that looks. Yeah, so both of our hover animations are working fine. If you want to ease into these animations, all you have to do is just say transition all 0.3 seconds, and similarly transition all 0.3 seconds over here, and now these animations will be a bit smoother. Right, now something that I had said that we'll also do is make sure that our top nav bar is blurry, right? And because right now it's obviously it's just black in color, but what we want to do is we want to give it this effect, right, where the image and the content that is flowing behind it is blurry. Okay, so someone asked why are we putting the background color in VAR? The reason for that is so that I can just change these values from here and all of my colors get updated. So I don't have to manually go and replace, let's say in the future, Twitter changes their colors, because right now they are pixel perfect, and I dropped the color picker and then I picked these hex codes, right? So these are the exact hex codes that Twitter is using. But let's say in the future they decide to change their color theme, and you want to update your Twitter project. So how are you going to do that? So for that, I made these root variables where you can just change these variables, and the everywhere else your code is going to get updated, right? And that is why we are using root variables for that. Okay, coming to the last part, that is making it responsive. And before that, I'll add in the blur code that is there, right? So the way we do that is by using this thing called backdrop filter, and that is very simple. All that we have to do is I'll go to my top nav. Instead of giving it a background color, I'm going to make this RGB A, and I'm going to say this, right. I'm going to say 0 point. Let's do 8, right. Um, all right. So now it's going to be it's going to have an opacity. So if I refresh and go through it, um, hmm, let's see. My bad. Yeah. So now if I go through it, as you can see, there's this opacity that it has. So now it's already a little darker, but now what we need to do is we need to make sure that this is blurry as well. So the way we will do that is by using this property called backdrop filter, and all you have to do is just say background dash backdrop, my bad, backdrop dash filter, and we are going to say blur, and I'm just going to say 8 pixels or 0.5 rem. Right, and if this does not work in your particular browser, for that we have another backdrop filter called webkit dash backdrop filter, and this should do the needful. Right, so now if we scroll, you will see that there is a blur, and obviously, and our code is now working technically. Right, something else that I notice is that our button is sticking to the top, but our entire this bar top nav should be sticking to the top. Right, so let's see as to why that is happening. I think that is probably because of our hmm, let me actually make this position fix and see how that looks. Okay, so we could do that too, but then we'll have to change a lot in our styling. Let's see. Yeah, so we are seeing position sticky top zero. I'm giving it the pretty much the same styling that there is, right? I don't think so. There's any reason for it to not stick. And as to okay, let's see. That's strange. Oh, actually, yeah, it's sticking. My screen was zoomed in. My bad. So it's sticking. Right. So that is obviously a good relief. And now all we have to do is we have to just make our website responsive. Then we'll be pretty much done. Right. Okay. So let's just do that. Okay. So let's go ahead and quickly make our entire website responsive and call it a day. All right. To make our website responsive, first thing that we need to see is all the places where it's breaking. Right. So, okay. So, firstly, it is technically not breaking anywhere, but obviously it's not looking pretty. So, what we'll do is after a certain width, we are going to make our left sidebar as sticky to the very left, right? And I think let me go and see at what endpoint was I doing that in the previous one, just to be careful. Um, okay, so the first endpoint that we're going to do that at is, what do you say, 1200 pixels. So let's go ahead and write a media query, right? So our media queries will be towards the end. I'm going to say media queries, and now all we have to say is add rate media, right? Screen and max width of 1200 pixels. Correct. And now I'll say dot left sidebar, and it's going to, let's just give it a width of 4 rem because that is the value that worked for us, I guess. And then I want to say dot link text will have a display of none. right? Because we don't want to show the link, we just want to sort of show the like the text. And um, okay, let's see so far what do we have. On refreshing, let me take it below 1200 pixels. This is what we get, and it is not really beautifully styled. So let's go ahead and fix that. Right. So what do we see when we have this as our endpoint? We see that our okay, so we can get rid of the margin. We can get rid of the margin from link flex, and instead of having a line items as flex start, I can just say center, right? And um, that should center them a little bit. Then what else that we want to do is padding is fine. Link flex over here has a padding right of 2 pixels, so we just need to get rid of that. Okay, so dot link flex, I'll get rid of the padding right. I'll make that as 0. And let's see how that looks currently. Right. And in link flex, I'll get rid of our margin, and that should be good. So in links dash flex, I'll get rid of a margin, and that's going to be good, right? In our link flex, I'm also going to add a margin bottom, uh, 1 rem. Yeah, so this is now styled. Something that is not styled is our hover animation. So I guess we'll fix that, or I can just say, hmm, let's make the padding 0 in general and see how that looks. Okay. So now instead of saying that, I'll say display block margin left auto and margin right auto. And now this is centered, right? Okay. Now our left sidebar is done. Something that we need to do is we need to fix our right sidebar. And the way we'll do that is by saying dot, I think right sidebar will now get a width of, let me give it a width of 70%, right? And let me give dot middle section a width of 100%. Now if I refresh, this is how it looks. And this is more, at least this is better, slightly better responsive for our tablet view now. So now what we want to do is after a particular value, let's say 1000 pixels, I will totally get rid of our right sidebar. So dot right sidebar display none. So after 1000 pixels, it goes away. It's going to be here till here. Then hmm, 1000, not that. Yeah, so now it's going to be here. So first things first, the sidebar becomes smaller. Then after 1000 pixels, it becomes this, right? And now what we can do is we can now style it for our mobile view. So styling it for our mobile view is again fairly simple. All we have to do is just hmm, okay. So first thing that we'll do is I'll actually go to my mobile view like this and see what we have currently. So this is what we currently are working with, right? And right off the bat, first thing that we notice is our, this is for some reason not covering the entire screen, which should not be the case considering it's okay. So I'll write a media query for 600 pixels, or let's just do 700 because that's what I did last time. And dot bottom text, I'm going to say display none. Right, so this is what we have. Dot bottom sign up, I'm going to say width 100%. 100, let's see what we have. This is what we have. This is still fine, I believe. Yeah. Let me get rid of the padding. Hmm. So this is data bottom sign up, so I'll get rid of the padding left and right. Alright, so this is now more centered aligned. And now something that we notice is let's decrease the size of this image as well. So we'll just go and say dot dot tabs mean image, I think tabs mean image, and I'm going to give it a height of 180 pixels. And this is also something that you'll have to kind of play around with to know what value you want to use, right? So we have that as well. And something that I am noticing again is that our screen is not, hmm, it's not stretching till the very end. Let's see as to why that's happening. But before that, okay. So what I'll do is I'll give dot tabs tab button, I think button min width, and I'm going to give it a min width of, let's say, 10 rem. 10 rem is a lot, so I'll just give it 6 rem and see how that looks. Yeah, so now this is scrollable, right? Just like our Twitter. Something that I'll do is I'll give it a tab. I'm going to give a padding dash left to them, so that just so that our yeah, hmm, so that it's visible, right? And now this is done too. This will be scrollable, right? And yeah, so this is we can still make it more responsive, to be honest. There's always something that we can do to make it more responsive, but this will be good for now, I believe. Something that you should do as a good sign is that you should always decrease the padding of all the things that you had, right? So just like this padding is not matching, so I made sure it was like this, right? I think I've given it a margin bottom, that's why it's happening. uh, let's see, tabs bottom, padding is 1 rem, I fixed that. This is fine. Margin top is 5 rem. I'll make sure I decrease the margin bottom as well. I'm just going to say margin bottom over here, and I'm going to make that as 0.5 rem as well. So now it's going to be a little better. Yeah. And similarly for the trending, I think heading and dot trending text, what we'll do is I'll remove the margin, or I'll decrease the margin, right? So I'm going to say 0.5 rem and 0.5 rem, basically. Yeah, so that is a little bit better. And again, I think there's a margin bottom there as well. Let's see. So tabs mean trending box. Margin top is 1 rem. I fixed that. Yeah, so this should be fine now. I will just remove dot trending box. Margin top, I'll also make 0.5 rem. Right, or I'll make margin. Hmm. All right, it's up to you the way you want to style it. Right, so I believe this should be it for our Twitter clone. We can obviously make it more responsive accordingly. And I think it is time that we end this session too soon now, right? What is the difference between position absolute and position fixed? Okay. So position absolute will be in relative to whatever this object div it is being wrapped in, and position fixed is always going to be relative to the entire screen. So whenever we use position fixed, I want it to be fixed no matter what. And the thing about position absolute is, if that it is wrapped by a div having position relative, then that div is going to have that particular yeah, then that div, it's going to take the position relative to that div, right? So that is basically the difference between position absolute and position fixed. And yeah, anyway, so I feel this is good. We added a lot of things, right? We even added this particular more option. We added these buttons, everything. And I would have wanted to add more features, but again, time does not permit that. But yeah, I hope that everyone learned a lot. I myself learned a thing or two while making this as well. So it's pretty cool. It was a great project to have, right? And adding this blurry feature behind the top nav was pretty important and pretty cool. uh, I learned that for the very first time. And yeah, so again, like I said in the beginning, that I will be giving you an assignment towards the end, and that assignment is basically to finish all of these pages and make them pixel perfect, right? I just went ahead and made the For You and trending page. You can go ahead and make the news, the sports, the entertainment page. Feel free to add in the modal that is there on clicking the settings button. Feel free to add that loader as well. And the code for everything is available on W3 Schools. And that is something that you should, as developers, always use as a reference, right? This is how we'll be making the loader, and it's exactly the same loader that Twitter uses too. Correct? It's literally the same loader, and it's very simple to make that. Right. So go ahead and play around with this entire project. I'll quickly go and add it as a GitHub repository so that I can share this with you guys. So I'll create a new repository, and I'll just say clone AccioJob. I'll make this as a public repository so that you guys can clone this. And yeah, let me just push my entire code so that everyone can refer to it with all of the files, just in case the zip file didn't work, right? And I'll also try to add in more features to this repo so that you guys can refer the loader and the, what do you say, the modal and everything as well. Right. So I think that brings us to the end of this session. It was amazing to have and code with you guys. The code has been pushed on the repo. We will update the description of this YouTube channel, of this YouTube video, of this YouTube live stream, so that you can, yeah, so that you can access the GitHub and clone the repo as well. Right. Okay. So we will be updating the YouTube description, and yeah, it was pretty fun to code this entire project. Yeah, so I think we can end this session if no one has any more doubts. If you have, feel free to shoot and ask your doubts. Otherwise, I think we are all set. Yeah, really looking forward to make more of such clones. And next time, hopefully, it's in React or some other newer technology so that we can implement more features very faster, if that makes sense, easily and quickly. But yeah, all right. So I think let's end the session and see you soon. Thank you so much for giving me your time.